Hey y'all, and welcome back to The Wannabe Author, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the publishing world, traditional, self-publishing, and more. I'm your host, Taryn Christine, an author navigating the turns and plot twists of getting books into readers' hands. Here we get real about the wins, the rejections, and the lessons learned along the way. Whether you're chasing an agent, going self-published, or just curious how it all works, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey y'all, and welcome back to The Wannabe Author. I'm your host, Taryn Christine, and today's guest is a very special friend of mine that I am just so very honored to introduce you all to today. This episode is perfectly in time with the celebration of this debut author's release of her YA NA book, The Last Special Thing, which is about Amelia Cox, who has lived a charmed life of open credit cards, little parental oversight, and the perfect future mapped out for her. That is until she gets unexpectedly dumped by her high school sweetheart right before they graduate. Now, with her plans in disarray, she is determined to have an unforgettable summer before she begins college at UCLA. When Amelia meets Art Anderson, a charming chaos junkie whose bedroom has only a drum set and an air mattress, she believes she's found the right person to provide her with some adventure. Her relationship with Art is intoxicating, and between late nights and personalized playlists and effortless connection, Amelia knows their connection is something special. Art tests every boundary Amelia has set for herself, and as they embark on a summer doing drugs and breaking laws, the line between adventure and destruction becomes razor thin. Amelia must choose between the privileged life she had planned and the guy who makes her heart race for better or for worse. This interview was very special because this author has been such an inspiration for me. She has really shown resilience in her journey of getting this book out into the world, and I am just so excited to see her work get into readers' hands, and for y'all to hear and be inspired just as much as I have by her story. Now it is my honor and privilege to introduce you all to my friend, Alyssa K Burns. Hi, Alyssa. Welcome to The Wannabe Author.
Hi, so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. For the listeners and everybody watching, if you don't know, I'm obsessed with Alyssa. We're good friends, so this is really fun for me to sit down and to talk about your book coming out. Or actually, when this episode comes out, it'll have just come out. So
exciting! So everybody go get a copy.
Yes, go pick up Alyssa's book. But before we get into all the details regarding your book, your journey, I always love to start off my episodes by asking my guests, what are you currently reading?
Okay. So I just finished The Right Words by Meg Rosenthal. She's amazing. To be honest, I was a little nervous to read this one because I loved her first book, The Wingman, so much. I don't know if you read either of those books.
I've read The Wingman. It is so good.
It is so good. And so I was like, I don't know how she's going to top this. So I don't want to be disappointed. But I read The Right Words. I loved it. She is so good at writing, not just the story structure, which she talks about, but just having characters that you relate to and that you just want to be friends with. Like there's this one moment where there's a Harry Potter movie night in a pillow fort. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can this be my life? It is the sweetest. See, now you have to go read that book. I sold you on that.
No, absolutely. I'm instantly sold.
Oh,
no, Meg is awesome. And you know what? I'm gonna shout her out a little bit. She's been on the podcast twice, and she has her awesome limited series podcast of The Architecture of Story. And I know we both have really worked with her with in the creation of our own books, but she really is just so intelligent when it comes to story structure. It's so fun to like not just learn from her, but then see it in her books and how well she does it.
Yes. She's not just somebody, there's that phrase, like, if you can't do teach, Meg does both. She does and she teaches, and I love her for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love you, Meg. Anyway. Okay. Now, enough about Meg. Let's talk about Alyssa. Okay. Now, as we dive into this, I'd love for you to start out by painting us a little bit of a picture or like your origin story of how you sat down. Like, I know writing is in our blood as authors. We can't get enough of it. But when was the point that you finally sat down and you're writing this book and you're like, you know what? This is the one that's going to it's going to see the light of day. People are going to have this in their hands one day. Tell us about that process.
So for me, I always knew I wanted to be an author since I was a little girl. That was my dream job. I think many of us feel that way. But then life kind of got in the way, and I chose a more practical route. Instead of doing creative writing in college, I did communication. It was the same, but a little more marketable. And then I found myself in the corporate ladder where then I got my MBA and then I got certifications and I just kept going, going, going. And then I had children. And when you have children, you've either got to make a choice that you're still all in on your career or you have to reevaluate. And for me, I reevaluated what I wanted and I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm going to be an author. Like, I'm going to be everything inside of me that I want to be, not just this path that I was on. So I completely pivoted. And then I started writing this book. And my thought going in was even if nobody else reads this, if this is just going to be printed and sat on my bookshelf, I can say that I did it. And then I wrote the first draft. I found this amazing writing group called Hot Girls Who Write, and it was full of indie authors and writers and traditional published authors. And I was like, oh, wow, this could actually be a thing. And it was by joining that group that I was like, okay, this will not just be something cute on my shelf. I will throw it in the world.
I love that. We love Hot Girls Who Write. Such a great group. Okay, love. Now getting more deep into the details of your writing specifically for this book, I'd love for you to tell the readers about, well, their listeners, about the difference, like what did the earliest version of this book look like compared to what's going to be in readers' hands?
So this book, again, I shared my background was not creative writing. So I've done news writing for 10 years. So I've done writing, but this is a very different kind of writing. So I knew nothing about story structure. I knew nothing about how to build a character art. It was just vibes. It was a good time. And I will say that this book kind of worked with that a little bit because it's a book about drug exploration. So there's just a natural progression of where somebody starts. She's getting drunk. She's trying weed. She's trying salvia, which is legal. That it kind of has a natural build up. So the first draft and the second draft, I feel like are different as I learn different writing techniques, but the story is pretty similar. I will say my second book I wrote at the same time, and that needed to go through 2 rounds of developmental edit to actually put it in a structure that made sense for the reader to enjoy.
And it is so interesting how much like a project can change over time. Like you think you get it out on paper, like a rough draft, and you're like, yep, this is it. And then you go into more. Yep. And then there's more edits and you're like, oh no, like that was barely, I didn't understand what I was doing there.
Yes, I will recommend for anybody if you're thinking about indie publishing to get an editor. I highly recommend.
Yes, I do too. Okay, now I'd love for you to kind of walk us through what a writing day looks like for you. Kind of your routines, whether you're pantser, plotter. Do you have to be in a certain area? And are you listening to any music as you write?
Yeah, so for the first two, again, I wrote them simultaneously. I pants them both because I didn't know any better. For my next books that I'm thinking about, we'll be working on after these two hit the world. I will be plotting more just so I don't have to go back and redo the things. But as far as a writing day, that is typically on the weekends because during the week I've got the children, I've got some side hustles to pay the bills. And so I go to my favorite coffee shop in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It's called the Coeur d'Alene Coffee Company. I've got a little table in the back. I get an almond iced mocha, half sweet. I'm diabetic, but still want my sweet treat. And then I usually listen to like a Taylor Swift, a Gracie Abrams. It really depends on the mood of the book. I like to put myself in it. And I will say I mix it up too. Like both of my books follow musician boyfriends. And so if I'm writing a musician scene, I try to have like a heavy musician scene on in the genre that they do, which is alternative music. That way I can really envision what things are like and immerse myself in that as I write the scene out.
Love, love. And music really does paint, like, it, I mean, at least for me too, I can relate with you in that. sense is how much music can just transport you into
Oh, yeah.
what you're writing. It is such a great tool.
And I will say that one thing that's hard for me about writing that I have to learn is to get all your five senses in. You can't just be like, oh, I looked at Taryn. You've got to be, I looked at Taryn and she smelled like vanilla, and this is what was happening in the background. So really, I feel like when I'm getting those senses in myself, it helps me write it better.
Love that. I was also freaking out because I literally just put on my Billie Eilish vanilla perfume. So I was like,
Oh
that's
my
my
God, I
favorite
know.
scent.
You're a vanilla girl.
I am. I am. I'm a basic girl. Okay. Um, and then last part of the kind of talking about your writing process, what part of the writing process feels more natural to you and what part just might absolutely break you?
I love the actual writing, the sitting down to writing the stories. It's the logistics that throw me off. Like if I'm doing a timeline, I'm like, wait, has this already happened? Does this need to happen now? And that is a burden that I hate.
I feel that. Sometimes I'm like, why can't readers just like, get with the vibes with me? Like we can all
Well,
just vibe.
well, both books too also take place in a simultaneous timeline. So it is hard to know, like, okay, has this already been said? How do we fill here and make sure they match with two different books? Like, kudos to
Yeah,
you. You had more overlapping scenes than I did, but it is hard.
it is hard. I actually forgot I did that until you said that.
It's cool as a reader though, because as a reader, you feel like you've got like the secret insight, like, oh my gosh, I know them already. And so I
Hmm.
think it's really cool as a reader to have the interconnected standalones.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's why I liked it too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why that happened. Get a
Mm-hmm.
whole new perspective. Okay, now I'm really looking forward to this part of hearing about your journey regarding the publishing aspect, because you've been all over the place with like, not
I have been.
like that, but like, I mean, you've been a real beacon of I'm going to get this out there. Like nothing's going to stop me, no matter the rejection, and just because I know your journey, I've seen this, and so I'm really excited for listeners to kind of hear more about your journey. So I'd love for you to start out kind of talking about your road to publication, and then what were the unexpected highs and lows of the journey.
Sure. So, like I said, I started writing thinking if it would be on my bookshelf, great. And that'd be the end of that. And then being in the group kind of opened up, like, there are so many different ways to do this. And before joining Hot Girls Who Write, I thought that it was like you get traditionally published, you get your agent, you're all good to go. That is the path. And in my head, I feel like there's such a stigma around being an indie author that means that like you weren't good enough to be picked up by an agent. And then I read so many indie books and I'm like, "Oh wait, this is fantastic. Oh wait, this is fantastic." That kind of shattered that illusion for me that like indie authors were somehow not as credible as traditional authors. That being said, I did try to go the path. I queried and I think you can do a whole episode on the query trenches. That it's a lot of work. Like you're getting the query tracker, which is a website that was built in the 90s, I'm sure. You're researching all the agents, you're tailoring every message to them. Some people want one sentence pitches, like everybody wants something different. And again, you've got to get their name right, you got to know why you match. It's a lot of work. So I did that probably for 6 months. I got 4 rejections all the way. Nobody said anything great. And then I applied for Smooch Pit, which is a wonderful mentorship program. And I was like, okay, this is going to be my match. Like either this is going to work or I'm going to just go in on all into myself. And I did not make that. And so I was like, great. That told me what I needed to know. I wasn't sad. I was just very confident in this was the sign that I was looking for and I found it. So then I made the decision to go all in indie publishing. And I think that happened, oh my gosh, like October-ish. And then now my book has released April 1st.
So exciting. I love it. And hearing again, like just going off of the fact, because as somebody who also dabbled in trad and then later went into indie, I love hearing these stories of just like not accepting the rejection and taking it on. I remember I actually interviewed one of my friends, I can't remember who said it. Pregnancy brain's getting to me. And we talked about how, um, like when it comes to books and stuff, like you put so much of your heart and soul into it, you bleed out onto the pages, and sometimes this is like so hard to receive rejection, but you have to be able, whether you're gonna be going into trad or into indie, you have to be able to separate yourself and be like, you know what, no, this is just what I want to get. I need to get this book out there, and I'm not going to accept these no's. Like,
Mhm.
so I love hearing stories like that.
And I don't think
I
will ever stop. Like, I'm super concerned. I don't know if I should be that transparent, but my book is going to go out to ARC readers next week. And again, by the time this will be out, other people can have it. And I'm so
Mhm.
scared of Goodreads because the opinions on your writing are never going to stop. I'm sure I'll get the one stars. I'll get the people who don't vibe with it. So no matter which direction you go, you're going to keep being told no, and you just got to let it roll off your back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and then my next thing is, when you were a wannabe author, did you think the journey? What did you think the journey would look like, and how wrong were you?
It was super wrong. Again, I thought I would query and I'd get an agent and then it would just immediately get a book deal and I'm good to go. And that is not how it works. Those that it works for, amazing, great, celebrate you. I will be muting you on Instagram though, because I can't take positivity to my life. But yeah, so I
Yeah.
was thinking about it all. But honestly, I've had so much fun. I have my MBA, so I've always enjoyed how the pieces of the business work together. And I feel like being an indie author is all of that. Like I've learned so much about editing, about marketing. I've got an LLC set up. So I'm kind of having the time of my life being an indie author.
Oh, I love it. And being able to see kind of like the inside of like your journey, and kind of hearing you talk about it, it's you've really just dove
So,
into this. Yeah, I think so. I'm an author.
okay.
Um, but you've really just taken this by the reins and like gone head first. It's been so fun to watch you. Like, you can tell when somebody is just meant for indie and when someone's not, and you were meant for it because you just, yeah, you've been inspiring for me, to say
Thank
the
you.
least. Okay, was there ever a moment you seriously considered quitting? What kept you from walking away?
Not seriously, but there's the little moment of me talking to you today before the book's release that says, like, I could still take it all back. I could still crawl into a hole, not actually release it, and be okay. But I'm here. I'm enjoying it. I just signed up with Resident Book Gal to do PR for the next 6 months so I can talk to more wonderful people like you and share the journey. So no, I'm going all in. There's no quitting for me now.
I love it. Good. You're not allowed to. I won't let you. Okay. Now, this is kind of a question that was sparked from my previous
Hmm.
season. I just really loved talking to people about their connection and conversation with people in the industry or outside of the industry and how much it's impacted them. So, I'd love for you to tell us, is there a conversation, comment, or piece of feedback, good or brutal, that has stuck with you throughout your journey?
Not my journey specific, but my second book specific is about a situationship. And I used a developmental editor who worked for one of the big six houses. And I was like, great. This is a side hustle for her. She's going to love my book. And then I'm sure she'll just pitch it to her organization because she loves it so much. She did not love it. She did
Hmm.
not love it at all. She hated it. She tore it apart. It's a book about a situationship. And she said that it was repetitive. And if you've been in a situationship, it is repetitive. But having that kind of beat me down, I was like, oh, I've either got to let this destroy me or I've got to use spite to make it 10 times better, make it the best book she's ever seen. So I will say that hardship definitely like flipped a switch that lit a fire underneath me to just be the best author. And I hope she reads my book again one day. And I bet, and she wasn't wrong about some of the comments she made. I do think the book is tremendously better now than it was when she first got it, but it's still when you give somebody your heart and you think they're going to love it and they just tear it apart that you're like, oh, okay, okay.
Thank you for sharing that for one.
Yeah. Well, and somebody you pay too. It's like, oh, I paid you for your opinion, so I got to do something with it.
Yeah. No, it's hard. Sometimes those editors, like, they can be brutal, but you're like,
Mhm.
I know I need to hear it, but still.
You still
Um,
made me love my hand while you said it,
no,
but
yeah.
that's just my little ego.
Like maybe we do the sandwich method where we say a good thing, bad thing, good thing. Oops.
It was a sandwich. It was just a thin layer of bread and a thin layer of bread and a bunch of meat in between. And I'm a vegetarian, so I didn't want any of it.
Like, sorry, that bread was soggy on both ends.
It was. Some
Ah,
she was serving up.
dang it. Dang it. Well, thank you for sharing that. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to talk about those moments. I know I'm like, I've got way too many moments where like that where I'm like, this happened. But it's such an important thing to like acknowledge because everyone goes through it. Like whether all we can be thankful for is like as authors, I think, is we hear more of that in the beginning.
Yeah,
Like I'd rather get the rejection and the harsh criticism that kind of impacts my writing than look at reviews later and be like, I.
absolutely.
So I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And then I'd love for you to talk about what part of you lives in this book.
Interesting.
It can be as personal as you want it to be or not personal.
Sure. This second book I feel like is more personal to me just because I've been in a situationship. This first book about her journey, I guess what was real to me is finding yourself in a situation where you look around and you think, oh shit, I'm in over my head. I don't know what's happening. I don't know how I got here. And especially when you're in the like late teens, early 20s, you're not like a full-fledged adult who knows how to handle situations yet. And so being in that moment, being like, I am in over my head. What do I do now? I think I
Yeah,
can very much relate to that in the story.
love, love. I think that's the beauty of the writing, I feel like, is even something like that, where you're
Hmm.
like, yeah, I really put this part of me into it. So many people are going to be able to relate with that.
Yeah.
Like, as much as we love to believe that we are living an original experience, like,
No, no, and that's why I love writing because the more I share, the more I hear people say like, "Oh, me too, oh, me too, oh, me too," and it's like that. Those are the people I'm reaching out to, which is also why I try not to get bogged down by the people who don't enjoy it. Because it's like, okay, then that wasn't for you, that wasn't your experience, but it is going to be for somebody else, and that doesn't make it less valid that you personally do not relate to this.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, outside of writing, what's something about you that would surprise your readers to learn?
I really dove all in on social media in like July-ish, posting every day, really building up this author brand before the book was released. So I think people would be surprised to learn that I was like a once a month poster. Like I was not on social media really at all before this journey. And I love it now. I'm having a great time now. But yeah.
You're doing great. I love all your posts. They're fantastic. Okay. Now, what trope do you secretly or loudly love, whether that's reading or writing it?
So the trope that I love that I'm actually doing a flip on for my next book that I'm really excited about is brother's best friend. I think that that is so interesting because there's a layer of dynamic with the family. And so for my second book, I'm doing best friend's brother, which I think is even harder because like your sibling is going to be stuck with you regardless of what happens. But when it's your best friend and you get involved with their brother, that friendship could be at jeopardy if things go south. So,
There is a lot more at
mm-hmm.
stake for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I love I'm a fan of Brother's Best Friend, so I'm all here for both of these.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Okay. Um before before we like close up, this is kind of my last question. So we have your book,
The last special thing.
wow, that was bad. The
Okay.
last I'm gonna cut that part out.
Let's try again.
I was gonna say the last best thing, and I was like, that's not it.
Oh my God. That's what my husband calls it.
Oh,
to like
really?
make fun of me. That's what he calls me. He's like, you booked the last best thing. And I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have to tell him. Maybe I named it wrong. Maybe I should go back and rename my book. Oh my God.
I have an excuse. It's pregnancy brain. Like,
You just no, you got the inside scoop there. You knew the joke.
I love it. I love it. I'm in on it.
Yep.
Okay. The last special thing comes out April 1st. And then have you announced second book actually before I
So I've teased it a lot on this podcast, but
Yeah.
the last second book will be coming out in October 2026. Follow along on my Instagram to get all the little tips, but I'm not stopping, baby.
I love it. I love it. I wanted to ask before because I was like, I don't think I've seen it on social media, but we've talked about it. So I'm like,
It's in the group chat.
I love it. Yeah. It's in the group chat. I love it. Okay. And so that is so exciting. I want to kind of, are they connected at all, these two books, or?
Yeah, so they are interconnected standalones, which is nice because it doesn't you don't have to read one before the other. There is one overlapping scene that I'm super proud of, but it doesn't give away anything from either book. So yeah,
Love.
welcome to the universe.
So excited for you, Alyssa. This is so exciting. I already know, like, I'm already getting into my early copy of
Yes.
The Last Special Thing, and I already know it's going to be absolutely special, and I'm just so excited to see what else you come out with. I know we kind of talked about like what's next for you, but are there any events you want to talk about that you'll be doing with release, or anything else vague or mysterious you want to talk about?
I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming out. Nothing I'm announcing today.
Yeah.
But I've super enjoyed being on this podcast and you just sharing my story. This has been so much fun.
Of course. I'm honored that you wanted to come on. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And everybody go out and order The Last Special Thing. We'll have it obviously linked in show notes and also Alyssa's socials so you can keep up on everything that she comes out with. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and close out with the listeners, but I'd love for you to stick around and hang out with me for a minute.
Thanks,
Yes.
listeners.
Thank you, guys. We will see y'all next Thursday. Bye.